So I opened with the classic Sneed Gambit, which got me 2 greenies. And then I went for Ouija to wipe out all the other vowels. So now I have, after adding Amend as my first real guess, I now have 3 greenies, chat. 3 greenies. So I have been staring at this instead of preparing for my stream, wondering what the fuck this word could be. I'm not gonna read chat, so I'm sorry, chat, but you're on ignore right now. I'm really just I really don't know. There has to be a double vowel. I'm thinking there's another. No, because if it was another E, the other Sneed E would be yellow, but it's not. Alas, so it could be another A. What could it be? A weed? A weed? A lead? Is that a thing? Not in a word. Not in a word list, chat. A bead? A bed? Is that a word? It's not a word, chat. A fade? Nope, not a word, chat. Feed? This is bullshit. Indeed, this is pre-recorded. No, it's not pre-recorded. I'm not. Feed a feed. It must be a feed. I am. It can't be a fend. What? Arend? No, because there's no end, chat. There's no end. Arent. Rep. Again? Agend? No, can't be. Eld? A geld. Is this a word? No. A feld? A peld? No. A reld? A teld? A yelled? A loud? A lead? Gunt? Gen? Sneed? Felt? A felt? No, it has to be a D at the end. This is clearly fucking bullshit. Gunted. Desert. This is painful. Do you know what it is, Lie? Are you trying to tell me that you know better than I do? Knelt. A Celt? No. Kelt? Kelft. Now look, I know I only know half the English language, but this should be doable, right? A pen. No, there's no... A heed. Was it double A? Ahead? Oh my god. Splendid. Splendid, it says. I did it, chat. I'm a master. I've really done it. Oh, you can't even see it. I've been playing Wordle all by myself, and you guys couldn't even see it because I'm in studio mode. You're welcome, bitch. Fuck you. Okay, I guess I should start the stream now. This is the official start of the stream. The pep song has ended. I'm hiding live chat, and I'm now recording. So this is the start of the stream, chat.
Когда мы были на войне, когда мы были на войне, там каждый думал о своей любимой или о Жене. И он, конечно, думать мог, да он, конечно, думать мог, когда на трубочку глядел на глядел на голубый ее дымок. Но он не думал ни о чем, да он не думал ни о чем. Он только трубочку курил с турецким рыгим табачком. Он только трубочку курил с турецким рыгим табачком. А помнишь, как ты все брала? А помнишь, как ты
this caramel dancing? No, but this is. Oh no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I have to quickly switch back to Firefox, which can actually play MP4s, because for whatever reason VLC on fucking Firefox cannot. Listen, one day I'll figure out how to do a computer thing, but for right now I cannot. Here. I just realized how loud that was for everyone. I've blown out all your fucking eardrums. There's actually a second version of that that's longer, but this one has the rainbow strobe effect, which is why I chose it, to be honest. Well, I did not see you guys last week. That was because I was suffering from crippling depression unrelated to anything. I don't know why. Apropos of nothing. I just felt really bad, and I decided, you know what? I don't even feel like streaming today, because what am I going to stream about? But now it's been a week, and I feel better. And on top of everything, I have funny things to talk about, as funny things have developed in my absence, so I can come back triumphant. I ran a poll about if I should front load this stream with my political ramblings, or if I should back end it. And the front ending won. So to everyone who doesn't like it when I mention anything besides fat people eating, I apologize in advance, but I'm just going to get it out of the way. And what I aim to do is, as always, I do not have an agenda that I try to press. I have some thoughts, and I'm just going to share them. And perhaps you'll find my perspective interesting, probably, if you watch these. Perhaps not. So to help people who don't care at all about what I have to say about anything besides funny people being retarded online, I have added this picture of Alex Jones with a megaphone and the word InfoWars behind him. So when you see this image, you will know that I am still talking about shit you do not care about, and I will take this image down when I am done with my pontification. I've written down notes and everything. So, old pick. So if you were one of those people and you're watching, if you're just listening, you're fucked. I'm not going to play like a beep in the background. And when you stop hearing the beep, you just have to fast forward until you hear me talk about volunteers for Ukraine. That'll be the first topic. That's not related. Anyways, I don't mean to apologize for myself endlessly. I do want to just briefly my thoughts. Okay. Actually, before I do that, I want to I want to just show everyone what a real political thinker sounds like. I saw this clip yesterday, and I fell in love with it. So if you want the real take, the real hot take on the various happenings going on right now, look no further than Pete's, a Canadian man who has it all figured out.
Yeah, Trump and a decent number of his supporters support Russia because, oh man, and
Strong? How? Hi, Sandra. Really new me?
because they idolize fascism. Fascists love Putin because he's a fascist, and Trump is a fascist, and Trump's supporters are fascists, so a lot of them love Putin.
I hate politics.
And there's been a lot of, there's been a fair number of dumbasses who are using, Putin invaded Ukraine because the U.S. is woke. A lot of people blaming, diversity and shit like that.
Okay.
And again, because Putin's totally okay with just straight up fucking murdering gay people.
Murdering gay people? What?
Yeah. Yeah, Russia's pretty homophobic.
Mm.
And thus, the homophobes, who all deny vehemently that they're homophobic, like Putin as well.
That's nice. Thanks for your lesson.
muted myself. This is not going well so far. I feel really energized and upbeat, but I skipped a week, so I'm just suffering endlessly as a consequence. I'm using a VPN, as always, and it looks like there's some buffering. I'm keeping my eye on the bitrate, so if it drops again, I'll change servers. But it should be passing through my VPN, my OBS, but whatever. Nothing ever fucking works. So my take will pale in comparison to Pete's epic take on contemporary politics. So I'll just get it out of the way, I guess. So I stated in my little community tab that I like both Ukrainians and Russians. I have friends of both. I've lived in Ukraine. I have never, unlike Coach Red Pill, I have never suffered at the hands of Ukrainians, because unlike Coach Red Pill and unlike Ralph, I have a good ability to shut the fuck up in foreign countries. I don't go around saying stupid shit to people. And it's served me well. I've gone through the Philippines without being beheaded. I've gone through Ukraine without being chased out by Azov Battalion. I've been to a bunch of countries without getting beat up by gypsies. I've managed just fine with my miracle solution of shutting the fuck up. It really works out well. I would strongly suggest it. Are you abroad in a foreign country that you're not a citizen of, or in that you don't speak the language of? Have you considered shutting the fuck up? It's a miracle solution. Almost all of your problems in life can be solved by shutting the fuck up. This is true. This is a panacea to all problems in life. Just shut the fuck up. Just throwing it out there. Now, I will not take my own advice, and I will go on my political diatribe. I would like to warn everybody about, and this, I think a lot of this will sound obvious to people, because when you say it, it sounds obvious, but people, like in the moment, like day to day, you're just processing stuff, you might lose sight of it. So just to reaffirm what is the obvious, in case you do feel what I have to say is obvious. You will be subject to a huge amount of misinformation. You will be subject to literal info wars. This is the definition of an info war, is you have two warring sides who have vastly different perspectives on an ongoing conflict, and they want to persuade you to believe as they do. So they will literally send information out through many different vectors to try and persuade you to sympathize with them, and that is the info war. So here we have a picture, a tweet from Anonymous, which is completely co-opted at this point. And this is an anti-war perspective saying that Putin's conquest is entirely economic. Rare photos of U.S. Army seizing weapons of mass destruction in Iraq after all this is surely what they came for. And it's pictures of gold. People seizing gold. If anyone pays attention to the news, you might recognize that these gold bars are actually Libyan gold bars. This was seized from Libya. So just general bullshit. You'll see people just be wrong. Here's a picture. It's from a different conflict applied in a different way. I've seen pictures of stuff from the 90s, from the Crimean War, from shit that was in Afghanistan, saying that it happened recently in Ukraine, and it's just wrong. We get this picture on the other side. Pro-Ukrainian. A picture taken in Kiev this morning, the clouds forming an image of an angel where this above the city where the main cathedral is dedicated to the archangel Michael, who cast Lucifer to hell. If you look, this got a lot of tweets. This is a verified Twitter account. A political editor for the Sunday Express, Daily Express, Scotsman, 700 likes. If you look very closely, there's a Pizza Hut right there. This is not in Ukraine. There is no Pizza Hut in Ukraine. In fact, if you search this picture, you'll see that it has been posted dozens of times in the last few days, claiming to be a premonition of the Archangel Michael over the city of Kiev. This is taken in America, is at least a couple years old now. Just in general, when you see an image, it's bullshit. And on the flip side, you might see something that's true that you think is bullshit. When moderating my forum, this post got reported, and it was someone saying this is blatant, completely made up bullshit about the political situation in Ukraine, using fake names. And the reason why this user thought the post was complete bullshit was because one of the people talked about is a guy called Semen Semenchenko. It's closer to Simon Simenchenko than Semen Semenchenko, but this is a real person. His name is Semen Semenchenko, pronounced differently in his native language, I'm very sure. But someone sees it, he thinks, this is fucking retarded. There's no way this man is actually named Semen Semenchenko, reports it for being, misinformation. and it's actually real. So be aware, you might see things that are true that are actually true, as opposed to just being bullshit. This is another hot meme that came about just this week. Here we have the ambassador to the United Nations from the United States, and it appears to be a non-human humanoid alien sitting at the table representing the U.S. And you might think, how is this picture real? She's clearly not a human being. Is this an alien? Is this Bigfoot? Who the fuck is representing us in the UN? The answer is Linda Thomas Greenfield, the Biden administration representative to the UN. This is how she looks, to give you a understanding. So we take a look at her. You can see her chair, her hair, and then her black mask covering her face. And since she's already black and her hair is like blocking the light, you can't really see her eyes. So when you see it unedited, it looks like a alien being screaming in agony in some sort of foreign alien language. Seems like bullshit, is actually a real picture. Just something that I found very interesting. The other thing that I found pretty interesting about all this is just the genuine hypocrisy of everything. I'll hide this while I explain this. Everybody on poll seems to be very pro-Putin. For Ukraine is a very Jewish country, sometimes referred to as Ukraine. In fact, when I lived there, I lived a couple blocks away from a synagogue. I remember very vividly seeing a little kid who had the Orthodox Jew curls and the little hat on, and I swear to God, he had a shirt on that was a Pikachu that had Orthodox Jew curls, and it said Pikachu under it. So this little kid was walking around in his Pikachu t-shirt, and it was very funny to me. And the street that the synagogue was on was literally called Jew Street in Ukrainian. It was in the Ukrainian language, the name of the street was Jew Street, and that's where the synagogue was. And that is because Ukraine does have a large Jewish population, and that is because there used to be a Turkic tribe called the Khazars, or whatever. If you wonder where the term Khazar comes from, it's because there was a Turkic tribe from the Caucasus spread up north all the way to Odessa, and they were Jewish, and they have integrated into the area of both Ukraine and South Russia. So you look at Zelensky, he's Jewish. A lot of people in Ukraine are Jewish, but then you look at Russia, and the wealth distribution is such that 1% of Russia's population owns 76% of its wealth, and only 15% of the people that hold that 1% are ethnic Russians. The rest are Jewish. So the oligarchs who actually run Russia are Jewish. So if you're looking at this purely from, I hate the side that has the most Jews on it, then you're going to have a hard time choosing between Ukraine and Russia, because they're both very Jewish. And then there are other people who say that this is, because they're both Jewish, this is a psyop, but we've wanted, apparently, they've wanted a hot war for years, and then when it happens, it's a bad thing, it's a psyop, exactly like how they said that they called Muslims invaders for a very long time, and then BT happens, and BT is a CIA psyop, so it's like, okay, do you want war or do you not want war? Are these people invaders that people should do something about, or are people doing something about it CIA psyops? It's just a weird, like, bipolarism about saying one thing and then believing the other when it actually happens. And then there are people who are pro-2A, pro-Second Amendment, pro-civilian weaponry, who see that Zelensky handing out firearms to the civilian population is a bad thing, and he's trying to make, civilian casualties go up, but then those same people support Second Amendment rights. But then the people who are against Second Amendment rights are praising Zelensky for handing out AK-47s to everyone who wants one. And so it's such as poll and poll-tards. It's like everyone is caught up in this dilemma of total hypocrisy that frustrates me endlessly. And I mentioned in my community post, the one thing that disgusts me the most is just the people who are like, oh, I can't wait for all the sexy Ukrainian refugees to come to my country so I can take advantage of their economic situation and sexually exploit them. Like, if you know those people, stay away from them, because they're fucking perverts, and they would definitely rape children on Epstein Island if given the chance. Do not let those people into your community. They're sickos. So Here is an example of something that has been driving me crazy, and I want to share my frustrations. Google Europe says, due to the ongoing war in Ukraine, we're blocking YouTube channels connected to Russia Today and Sputnik across Europe, effective immediately. It'll take time for our systems to fully ramp up. Our teams continue to monitor the situation around the clock to take swift action. So it's like, okay, so the liberal West is now banning Russia Today and Sputnik because I guess they're Russian, and therefore it's bad, right? But I thought censorship was bad. But then we see that Discord, which was recently bought by Microsoft, has just amended its terms of service to say that you are prohibited from sharing false or misleading information known as misinformation. So censorship is okay as long as it's misinformation, right? But then we see over here, what kind of misinformation are they banning? Well, they're banning Putin saying that they're fighting a denazification war against Ukraine.
Товарищи, ваши отцы, деды и прадеды не для того сражались с нацистами, защищая нашу общую родину, чтобы сегодняшние неонацисты захватили власть на Украине. Вы давали присягу на верность украинскому народу, а не антинародной хунте, которая грабит Украину и издевается над этим самым народом.
And to repeat that into English, he says, "Dear comrades, speaking to Ukrainian soldiers, your fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers did not fight defending our motherland," referring to the USSR, "for today's neo-Nazis," referring to the Azov Battalion, "to seize power in Ukraine. You took an oath of allegiance to the Ukrainian people, and not to the anti-people junta that robs and harasses its own people," referring to the Zelensky government. But then it's like, okay, well, I thought Putin was Hitler. Here's a picture of Putin dressed up as Hitler. That must mean that he's lying. Well, then we see that Facebook has recently publicly stated that you are allowed to praise the neo-Nazi Azov Battalion only in the context of defending Ukraine. So it's like, okay, now we're permitted to praise Nazis, but only in the context of them defending Ukraine against the Nazis that are saying that they're the actual Nazis. So I'm on some kind of next level mindfuck right here. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But wait, these are the actual Ukrainian soldiers. Here we have an old Jewish man with a long beard in Odessa fighting for Ukraine. But that doesn't make any sense. I thought he was a Nazi. And then we see Linus Linkovica saying Putin's denazification in the suburbs of Kiev, and you can see that the city of Kiev has been decimated, and these buildings are all collapsing. So it's like, wait, we shouldn't be blowing up cities if we're denazifying it. But wait a minute, in the Battle of Berlin, didn't we completely level Berlin? So I guess it's okay to level cities, to denazify it sometimes, but not other times. If only, chat, there was someone who could cut through all this and make sense of it. Enter early 1900s German philosopher Carl Schmitt, who says, "The specific political distinction to which political actions and motives can be reduced is that between friend and enemy." Just keep that in mind. None of this matters. It's all bullshit. They're all fighting for your brain, but it's good guy, bad guy, friend, enemy, and that's it. In fact, I would actually suggest, I swore off video games for Lent. And I don't know why. I haven't done Lent in like 20 years, but I decided to do it. Because I've been playing too many video games. I've been playing CK3, and I said, I'm not going to play any more CK3. I'm going to read a book today. So I picked up The Concept of the Political on Wednesday, and I read it in one sitting. It's 60 pages. I would actually strongly suggest it in case you have any interest in political philosophy. And I found his points very persuasive. In particular, at the end, last paragraph, the point seems very obvious that there aren't really good and bad. You can make arguments if one side is good or better, but really each side is a friend and it has enemies, and that's all there is to it. But he explains to the liberal, because liberals will say that actually we're good. Fascism is bad. Fascism hurts people. Liberalism, no war. War is bad, and we use the economy to resolve issues and so on. He explains, if I'm allowed to read, for the application of such means, a new and essentially pacifist vocabulary has been created. War is condemned, but executions, sanctions, punitive expeditions, pacifications, protection of treaties, international pleas, and measures to assure peace remain. The adversary is thus no longer called an enemy, but a disturber of peace, and is thereby designated to be an outlaw of humanity. A war waged to protect or expand economic power must, with the aid of propaganda, turn into a crusade and into the last war of humanity. This is implicitly the polarity of ethics and economics, a polarity astonishingly systematic and consistent. But this allegedly non-political and apparently even anti-political system serves an existing or newly emerging friend and enemy grouping and cannot escape the logic of the political. That's the last paragraph of the entire book, and it talks, which was very prescient because this was written in like 1923. Before the Second War even happened. And Schmidt is interesting because he's like the only card-carrying NSDAP member who managed to survive the reputation of being a Nazi and still be taken seriously. Because this is true. What he's saying is that we no longer have war enemies. We have disturbers of the peace. We're not, and even Putin says that we're not at war. We're simply having a special military operation to denazify our neighboring country. It's not a war. You misunderstand. So what do we level against the Russians? We say that we are going to sanction you. So let's take a look at this sanctioning that we're doing. First off, the ruble has dropped so much that the market cap of Bitcoin is now higher than the value of all the rubles. The market cap of the Russian ruble is now worth less than the Bitcoin. And every company from IKEA to fucking OnlyFans has decided to stop doing business in Belarus and Russia. Russian porn stars moaning, oh my god, after they're banned from OnlyFans during Ukraine invasion. And OnlyFans has shown such support for the Ukrainian sex workers, which they exploit ruthlessly for money, that they've changed their logo colors to yellow and blue. Isn't that wonderful? Google Pay, of course, because they've been kicked off SWIFT, which if you've listened to me rant about the banking system and all, you would know that SWIFT is the international exchange system that's based out of the U.S. SWIFT is so tightly controlled by the United States, for example, that when an art dealer in Switzerland sold art to a buyer, a collector in the Netherlands, the U.S. recognized that the art being sold was technically belongs to the Jews, because everything after World War II, a lot of art was allegedly stolen by Nazis, so you're not allowed to buy and sell that art because it belongs to Jews collectively. So Swiss guy says, fuck that, I'm selling it to somebody in the Netherlands. The U.S. gets a word of that and says, no, you're not doing that, and they cancel the transaction on SWIFT because they own SWIFT. So two completely private parties in two different countries, neither of which are the U.S. U.S. gets to decide, no, you don't get to do that. Well, now the U.S. has gotten to decide that the entire country of Russia and everybody who's Russian does not get to participate in SWIFT, and Google and Apple have to obey that. So Google Pay and Apple Pay have completely banned Russia from using their services. And we see a line in Moscow, and from what I've actually been told, it's not uncommon to see lines this long in Moscow, but all these people are having issues paying for their tickets because they usually use Google Pay, and right now they're not allowed to. Here, see another type of sanction, which is sillier. Russian pet owners, cat breeders, are now prohibited from attending this year's cat shows, I guess. Usually they're dog shows. Not allowed to bring your Russian kitty cats to the cat shows because Putin bad. Likewise, if you are in Milan, you might have heard that the University of Milan considered banning teaching Fyodor Dostoevsky from their philosophy classes because he's Russian. And they were going to replace him with a different Ukrainian author instead. And they reversed this because it was so actually fucking insane that people made fun of them for it. But that was on the table. There's a musician who was in Germany, and I can't remember where in Germany, but his career is basically over because Munich. He was going to be in Munich in a showing, and the mayor of Munich asked him to publicly denounce Putin, and he refused. So his career is also being fucked with because there is now a purity test to do anything if you're Russian and you're overseas, which I'm sure is the objective is to make the people of Russia so unhappy that they do something about Putin. But if that actually happens, probably not. In fact, it's probably going to irritate people to be like, wait a second, why are we so thoroughly owned by the United States? Do we have to be? And there is a YouTuber who I watched today, NFKRez. I've never heard of him until recently. But he was kind of showing how these sanctions have impacted him. And one of the things that he said, which was interesting to me, is that as a YouTube creator, he is paid by AdSense and Patreon. And to get money from AdSense and Patreon, he has to use Swift. Well, he's banned from Swift right now, so he has money piling up in Patreon and AdSense that he cannot use because he can't collect it. So he's asked people, he's opened for the first time cryptocurrency wallets, which he's put in the description, so people who want to support him but who have cryptocurrency instead can send them crypto, because he can't accept cash donations because he's been exiled from the banking system. The entire country of Russia has essentially been given the Kiwi Farms treatment for Putin's actions. And then there is this clip which I'm going to play. It's subtitled in Russian, but I find it funny, and I'll sum it up after it's done playing.
Со мной в студии сегодня Александр Бутманов, экономист, основатель инвестиционного клуба «Союзники», эксперт по биржевым стратегиям. Александр, здравствуйте.
Приветствую, добрый день, не говорю.
Да, никто уже сейчас не говорит. Биржевые стратегии сегодня это вообще атовизм, или вы еще надеетесь в профессии остаться?
В крайнем случае я буду работать Дедом Морозом, как 25 лет назад.
Ну, это раз в год только. Ну,
Да. Кроме шуток, давайте быстренько я это сделаю. Я передаю привет Сергею Усиченко, который пил 12 лет назад, 13, за смерть фондового рынка. Сегодня я пью газировку. Дорогой фондовый рынок, ты был нам близок, был интересен. Покойся с миром, дорогой товарищ.
Я не буду комментировать этот флешмоб, не хочу, потому что я в это верить.
The gist of that joke is that they're a business channel on Russian television, and Putin, to stop the stocks from tanking and from the value of the ruble debasing, has frozen the value of exchange for the Russian ruble at a certain amount, and has also closed the Russian stock exchange. So these are stock analysts on a business channel drinking to the death of their careers because they have now been replaced by a stock market which does not exist, and they are having some deadpan humor at their own expense, which is a very Russian way to celebrate something like that. Very interesting, right? So that's the summary of the sanctions and how they're currently affecting people in Russia. You may or may not care. You may think they're in the wrong. There is some very interesting language about this, which I'll get into in a second. My thoughts is that this can go one of two ways. I don't know which is more likely, but I think that either A, this works and Russia is collapsed, it's capitulated by the economic isolation that it's currently enjoying, with even Finland threatening to join NATO and Switzerland issuing its own sanctions on Russia. The U.S. is currently threatening to sanction countries that don't sanction Russia. So it's really trying to swing its dick as hard as it possibly can to punish this country for doing something that it does not like. And what it really is trying to do, as Carl Schmitt explains in his book, which again I would suggest is the concept of the political, is to remove the jus, or use, I don't know how to pronounce Latin. It's the jus belli. It's the right of war. Does a country have a right to wage war? Besides the United States, the United States can wage all the war at once, but it considers it a police action. Does a country have a right to go to war? And if the answer is no, then it's not a country. In the United States, states do not have the right to declare war. Only the government, the federal government, can declare war. So the states are not sovereign. They do not have the jus belli. They do not have the right to war. If the economic power that is the global homo, as it's called, the cathedral, if we can deprive a country of its ability to wage war, it ceases to be a country. And that is the end goal of our economic policy, is that everyone is under our umbrella. They are not able to commit war. If there needs to be a war, we have the UN police for that. We have our peacekeeping operations. It won't be a war. It will be a peacekeeping operation, and we'll take care of it for you. Don't worry. So if we can't dissuade Russia economically, then we've once again allowed jus belli to exist. There is a right to war, and that's very scary. People have enjoyed a peaceful Pax Americana, but that could be ending. And the other suspicion, the other way that this could swing, I believe, is that it doesn't work, and that Russia and China and India and all these other countries that fucking hate us, that have hated us for a long time and do not appreciate being disarmed countries with no jus belli, who are not independent under that definition, they will integrate economically, because Russia is not able to its supply chains are going to collapse, and the only option is for them to fill their quotas, their missing parts, with Chinese parts, and I think China wants that. So I don't know. I can't say for sure which way it will swing. There is speculation that China will invade Taiwan as this proceeds. But I mean, this is I think it's finally happening. I think it's finally happening, where what I've been saying for a while, that countries don't appreciate the United States. They're done with it. They said, you guys are retards. You are a mutt nation. You can barely take care of yourselves. Even in Europe, the Germans and the French and the British, they all snub their nose at Americans and say, you guys don't even have health care. What the fuck do you think you can do protecting the entire world? It's like they hate us. And Russia doesn't appreciate us. China doesn't appreciate us. These countries don't want us to be the world police anymore. And I think that America will soon stick around and try to get everybody in the world to be on its side and to sanction Russia, and then Russia will just find ways to plug the holes, and its economy will find a way to stabilize. And that's the other option. It could just collapse. It could shatter. Putin could be ousted. But I don't know which one's more likely. But that's how I see it. That's the economy. That's my theory. And I think that's it. I think that's it for my political ramblings. Thank God, right? Now, here, I'll take down the Alex Jones one. We're at Volunteers for Ukraine, but there's some funny stuff with this that I do enjoy. So, Volunteers for Ukraine subreddit set up to send retards to die for a foreign country. Like, look, Odessa was nice, but it's not my fucking country. I don't speak Ukrainian. Good luck with all that shit, right? Now, there is some misinformation to be on the lookout for. Will there be World War III? Probably not. Though I'm not going to bet. This is fake. These are various trannies, just so you know. But now remember that in the fog of war, and the name of this person is Token Feeder. I just noticed that. Remember that in the fog of war, people will likely refer to you by your gender assigned to you by birth. Make sure you wear a badge with your preferred pronouns so that you do not suffer unnecessary verbal violence and bigotry in the field. The last thing you want to hear is someone misgendering you as you bleed out after a firefight. Expect to encounter a lot of heteronormative language, typically of the chauvinist environment in which you will find yourself. Shouts like, "Watch out, lads," "Listen in, boys," and other microaggressions will wear you down as the white male-dominated armed forces attempt to erase your lived experience. If you can, be the change you want to see. You can do this by shouting, "They're coming from the south," or "Two possible BIPOC folks taking cover at your six." People will respect your efforts to be inclusive in the theater of war. Ultimately, silence is violence, and you'll want to be wanting as little additional violence as possible. Ma'am down. I hope they get captured by Chechens. There's no way this is a real post. I will leave that up to the viewer interpretation. This is, however, a real post. Jeremy Bowen, BBC, posts this picture of what looks like a couple kids dressed up for a nice Fortnite sleepover, a game of airsoft in the backyard after the winner chicken dinner. Actually, no, these are a bunch of 18-year-olds who have decided to fly over to Ukraine to fight a war. Prompted by Redditors, of course. And this is completely fucking real. These people are in Kiev, and they are ready to lay down their lives for based Zelensky. Shalom. Here is another post. Serious, will this have a carryover for my military training once I get to Ukraine? He has 208 hours in squad and almost 1,000 in Arma 3. Now, people in the comments seem to be very positive. War is exactly the same as your video game, says Gropey. How many local languages do you speak? Jesus fucking Christ. No, says Ilne Paspont Pa, or whatever the fuck French name. Ignore troll post, everyone. I will say, I think that one thing, like, okay, everyone knows, like, in Call of Duty, you don't just run around with, like, your SMGs in both hands going, bah, 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 and it's, like, super epic and cool, and you're, like, jumping over shit. Like, people know that, and people know that you don't respawn in real life. But I think what a lot of people don't understand about war is how very boring it is. I don't think people appreciate that element the most. A lot of what you would see if you flew to Ukraine right now and joined the armed forces, they have a 3-day boot camp. They'll teach you how to reload a gun and cook your MREs, and then they'll send you out to Kharkiv to fight for Ukraine. If you do this, you will be shocked by how much of your combat life will be waking up at a specific time, receiving orders, driving to that place, and waiting to be shot at. That people don't talk about this. How much of your combat experience will be just waiting to be shot at? And even when people say, like, obviously your combat won't be like a video game, you don't respawn in real life, they never tell you how fucking boring it would be. Hurry up and wait. Exactly, Joe. Now, some people are not so gung-ho about dying for Ukraine, for whatever reason. This person, Northwind 4008, says, I want to help, but I need some clarity regarding LGBT rights in Ukraine. I want to help in Ukraine, but I just looked up Ukraine's stance on LGBT issues. It's extremely bleak. He highlights, LGBT persons in Ukraine may face legal challenges not experienced by non-LGBT residents. Being intolerant of LGBT people in households headed by same-sex couples are not eligible for any of the same legal protections of opposite-sex couples. No legal recognition exists for same-sex marriage. Same-sex couples are explicitly banned from adopting. Transsexuality is classified as a psychiatric disorder in Ukraine. 85% of Ukrainians oppose same-sex marriage being recognized, and there are no legal grounds for same-sex marriage and civil partnerships in Ukraine. Big yikes, Northwind continues. Until I looked it up, I thought Ukraine was a progressive nation that protected LGBT rights and that Ukraine deserves help, but it seems Ukraine is rather homophobic and transphobic. Ukraine is not what I thought it was. I'd really like a reason to ignore Ukraine's stance on LGBT rights and issues. Thank you. And this was deleted. Now, someone asked this man, asking this question, as a licker of Putin's ass, what rights do you have in Moscow? Helping Brother says, this is not your war, dude. And this isn't about the leaders. This is about the innocent people being killed, such as the 85% of people who don't want support same-sex marriage in Ukraine. Then there is Shalila20, who says, please don't let Putin distract you from issues that really matter. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And attached is a lovely image that says, Ukrainian lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter. Very interesting hot take from Shalila that I don't see represented much. Now, here's some rhetoric that is interesting because I think it's training. This is the same kind of shit they will be saying about you in the near future. It could be fake. I'm just saying no. Just to reiterate, there is a war for your mind, and this could be a troll account that was banned for trolling. But these blue check marks are probably not fake. Olga Tokuryok, I guess, I don't know what the fuck kind of name that is, says, this is not only about Putin. Russian citizens are responsible for this war too, and the propaganda is insane, targeting even children, like in this cartoon. Pure evil. Devil Strand says, at what point do you hold a people responsible for putting an evil despot in power? I can't make a simple distinction between Putin bad and Russian people neutral or good. And Michael McFall says, please listen to these quote-unquote oppressed Russians praising Putin's war, which includes killing civilians and bombing a nuclear power plant, and then explain to me why these taxpayers funding Putin's army bear no responsibility for this war. Is brainwash the only alibi? Very interesting. Though not everything is so bleak. Here's a really riveting post by the Washington Post that says, Ukraine war bonds are a chance to GameStop the evil empire, from Mark Gongloff from Bloomberg. Here's a nice picture of a Polish lady with Polish and Ukrainian flags painted orange. She says, stop Putin. So the girl says to stop Putin, so you can GameStop the evil empire here by buying Ukrainian war bonds. Vladimir Putin's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine induces a feeling of helplessness in people who are not fans of the autocracy or war crimes. We want to help, but short of strapping a rifle and heading to Kiev, there's not much we can do besides maybe turning on our Twitter avatars gold and blue. One classic way to alleviate this feeling is to send money, and people are donating to many charitable groups helping Putin's victims in Ukraine. People are donating lots of crypto too. This may feel like a dubious favor considering crypto's wild volatility, but most of the swings are upward these days. Speaking of, my man, Vladimir Putin and Zelensky are single-handedly saving Bitcoin, and God bless them. Look at those bumps. Look at those bumps, chat. Some have not been so lucky. It peaked at like 44, and now it's going back down. Because I think they were talking about how they should ban Bitcoin again because, what is it? Bitcoin is being used to fund Putin or something around the sanctions. There's some bullshit reason, but there's always a bullshit reason to ban crypto if you really try hard enough. And there's also some nice song. I like this song. This song is about Turkish drones, which are bought by Ukraine. Now, I always thought Turkey and Ukraine, or Turkey and Russia were pretty close, but Turkish drones were bought by Ukraine to be used against Russia, and they're unmanned drones, and they're being used against tanks, and apparently they're seeing some success, and Turkish people are fucking, like, super happy about how well their drones are doing in the war from Ukraine. So here's a nice song about them we'll play a little bit of.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини, та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар. Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптям посорбати довбані щі, та трохи у щах перегрівся навар. Байрактар.
Look, I am more interested in really great music being produced as a result of this conflict than anything else. I just want some songs, chat. Alright, well, that's the Volunteers for Ukraine thing. It is pretty interesting. I imagine that there probably won't be that many people who head on over to Ukraine to commit themselves. Because, I mean, like, they don't even speak the language. How are you going to survive in a situation like that? When you're like those kids, these kids have no experience. They have no fucking idea. I guess they look vaguely Slavic. Maybe their grandparents are Ukrainian. I don't know. That's like the best case scenario. Like they speak Ukrainian at home or something, or Russian at home. And they're like, well, I guess we speak the language at least, so we can go on over. Good luck with that show. Now, there is someone, chat, who has bravely held the line in Ukraine this entire time, since before I got there till after I left. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the grandpa of Kharkiv, Coach Red Pill, a doddering old man who has found himself in an active war zone, who just a week before the war was declared was saying there would not be a war in Ukraine. There would not be a war in Ukraine. He was so certain that there would not be a war in Ukraine, he flew out from Kharkiv to Kiev and left his small children and wife behind in a city very close to the eastern border of Ukraine to Russia, to Kiev, which is a mere 50 kilometers south of Belarus, where they're deploying from as well. And he found himself stuck in Kiev as war were declared and the airspace was shut down, and also the railroads as well. He has also enjoyed, as a result of this, a large amount of publicity. And I'm debating how much do I want to preface this. Let's see. Actually, I want to play this video, I believe. Do I have this video loaded up in my Firefox? I don't. Okay, let me pop it in real quick if I can. Here.
All the System Pig journalists are here. See? All these people, they're all System Pig journalists. They're all like, here to report on how they led Ukraine up the garden path, and now Ukraine is fucked. Yeah. The people pushing the narrative. These are the people pushing the narrative. So you can see them. See them real good. Yeah. And the best part is that they're all staying at a 5-star hotel. A comfy 5-star hotel. While they led Ukraine up the garden path.
Okay, now if you were listening, you would hear the chatter, and you would notice that the chatter died as he started talking. That is not ironic. He's not like just talking to himself. He's in the middle of a room, a nice dining room, and there are all these people around him, and he's just like panning the camera around and shouting that they're pigs, and they can all hear, and they're staring at him. This one guy, he waves, I think.
People pushing the narrative. These are the people pushing the narrative.
Where's the waver at?
See them real good.
Someone waves at him. I don't know where at, but it's very
And the best
interesting. And see, he's developed this weird term which is unique to Coach Red Pill. I've never heard anyone refer to journalists as system pigs, but it gets them in trouble. And there is a reason for this, that if he knew anything about Ukraine, I don't know, he can't even read the alphabet. You can learn to read Cyrillic so that you can understand a transliterated word. Like, for instance, pizza and sushi. If you go to, I'll do this right now even. Go to Google, type in English to Russian, and I type in pizza and sushi. You see how different pizza and sushi look in Russian versus in the Latin script? But you can learn those characters very easily. He has lived there for years. He cannot read he could not read pizza and sushi. I don't know how the fuck he's managed to do this, but he has made no effort whatsoever, which really begs the question of why he's there at all. If he was like, okay, there's the fear, like you go to a country like Ukraine or Vietnam and you're like, I'm going to buy a wife, which essentially he has. So you might be afraid if you take her back to America right away, she'll just divorce you and leave, right? But now he has 2 kids, so the chances of her like just divorcing and leaving are very slim. And it's like, okay, maybe she has family in Ukraine, but why would he stick around for that? Why not just go to the Russian side or maybe Poland or whatever the fuck? Like, why stay in Ukraine? Because he obviously doesn't care about the people there. He doesn't care about the culture there. He doesn't care to learn the language there. Like, what the fuck does he get out of being in Ukraine? And apparently he doesn't know that in anyone who has ever experienced the conversation between Russians and Ukrainians on the internet would know the fucking Ukrainian pig meme. At any time that they talk to each other, this is posted.
Внимание! В беседе обнаружен пододусеровый котлашвайн. Срочная эвакуация.
Anytime. There is no way you can avoid knowing what this is if you've ever been on the internet with Ukrainians and Russians talking to each other. So how does he not know that going around and talking to a bunch of Ukrainians and calling them pigs while being ostensibly pro-Russian is a really, really bad idea? Like, just shut the fuck up. Stop trying to impress your Twitter followers with your fucking videos, Grandpa. You're gonna get yourself killed. So he doesn't learn this lesson, very obviously. And what happens? Well, he's been posting all these videos about his perspective on the war, and what his perspective is that Ukraine is totally fucked. There is no resistance is futile. There's no point. Russia's going to win. They might as well roll over. And Zelensky is evil, and it's a regime. He keeps calling it the Zelensky regime. It's completely anti-Ukrainian point of view. You may also know, if you are a Kino connoisseur, if you happen to know a lot about Coach, he has previously appeared on Russia Today. They are aware of who he is because he is a Westerner, ostensibly, he's from Chile, who has an anti-West perspective, which is very valuable if you're a propaganda outlet like Russia Today is. So they've had him on to espouse his point of view against the U.S. empire, which I empathize with. But they pulled his recent videos of him talking about the war, and they edited them together into like a 6-minute clip, which he says was much more pro-Putin than he intended to be. But that causes issues for him, unsurprisingly. So I have that video as well, and we're going to skim through it.
Where is Tiffany Dover? If you can hear me properly, I'd appreciate it.
7:09.
Extremely big cup of coffee, because I started smoking again because of the situation, and I'm stressed out, and I'm there at the smoking lounge, and the hotel manager, whom I'd never met before, a very well put together guy. He seemed like a very capable man. He showed up. He greeted me. He knew who I was exactly. I thought that I didn't quite understand what was going on, and he identified himself as the manager, and I shook his hand automatically, and I thought maybe he had news as to how to get to Kharkov, because I was stuck in Kiev. For those of you who don't know, I was stuck in Kiev. I arrived on Wednesday afternoon, thinking that the war would not start for at least a couple of weeks, and I had some business that I had to take care of in Kiev, and I was only going to go for a couple of days. I was going to fly in on Wednesday afternoon and fly out on Friday afternoon. In fact, I even debated whether to fly out on Thursday afternoon, but it doesn't matter, because on Thursday morning at 5 a.m., bright and early, the Russians invaded Ukraine. And so I was stuck in my hotel, and when my hotel ended, I'd only booked it for a couple of nights. I booked 7 nights, right off the bat, and thinking to myself that probably it'll last even longer.
He's so bad at telling a story. Look, I even clipped these to reduce them down, and he's such a grandpa. God bless him. He's got like a really grandpa way of telling the stories. Like, okay, grandpa, okay, you went to the hotel and then blah, blah, blah. Something else happened. And like, just get to the fucking point. Okay, this is not going to be an hour and 45 minutes of you telling the story.
The hotel staff, they were very helpful and pleasant, and it was all very, very nice, and I had a wonderful time. I had a couple of run-ins with press people that I've discussed in my Telegram channel. Basically, the press people, a lot of the more highfalutin press people, they were all at the Premier Palace, and they were all just so arrogant. And what I hated in particular, there was one man, a big guy, bigger than me. Like a good 2-3 inches bigger than me, and maybe 40 pounds heavier, carrying a camera and looking with that smug, arrogant face. And the man at the reception desk, the employee who didn't need to be there but was there, right? Well, this photographer or whatever he was, this big guy from the press, he was berating the guy at the hotel front desk, and berating him because he couldn't get outside or something like that. I forget exactly what it was. And I was like, dude, and I said to him these words.
He said to him these words.
Внимание! В беседе обнаружен пододусеровый коклашвайн. Срочная эвакуация.
He basically picked a fight with this guy and called him a system pig.
He's trying to help you, you system pig.
Like, what a fucking idiot. I really can't even believe it. And I really wish I had picked in timestamps for all these things, because I can't remember how much he fucking meanders in these little tidbits I'm trying to get.
To warrant this. And he said something that I didn't understand. He said that he didn't want to have any Putin propagandist in his hotel.
Oh, okay. So I clipped, in this conversation, I clipped at 7:09, hotel manager evicts coach, and then at 11:20, get out of hotel. So at 7:09, he mentions that the big guy, the manager, comes up and starts talking to him. And then he meanders for 4 fucking minutes, because he's a helpless old man with mental health issues, because he's got dementia setting in real early. And then finally at 11:20 he gets to this where he mentions that he's being evicted from the hotel.
Heavy. That's real goddamn heavy, you know what I mean? And so I was like, what the hell are you talking about, right? Because I've done a lot of content on the war, of course, but I don't think, you guys tell me if you think that I'm a Putin propagandist just for pointing out things that are actually happening, and that how things are going Putin's way, whether we like it or not. Irrespective of where we stand on Putin, well, objectively, he's winning. He's winning this war decisively, and extraordinarily quickly. And, to pretend otherwise, just foolish, right? So anyway,
So, okay, to sum this up, he is... what's at 2014? Where did I clip at 2014? It just says, how does this happen? How did this happen?
Benway and I talked through this whole situation, and I was like, what the fuck happened? I mean, how the fuck did this guy think that I'm some sort of Putin apologist from the content that I was putting up? Because most of it was just geopolitical analysis or, man on the street kind of stuff, I mean, I'm walking around and this is, here's this, here's that, that kind of stuff. And so I figured at the time, and I was talking to Benway, that it must have been some troll, either a Ukrainian guy who's just pissed off at me and pissed off that Ukraine is losing the war, or just some asshole troll. And, I got lots of enemies, lots of people who can't stand me. I mean, lots
He explains that Russia Today aired his clip. I'll summarize that. Like, I really regret not putting in timestamps because, like, he'll start a sentence and say, like, so how did this happen? Well, I was talking to a friend, and then he starts rattling off about the fucking guy that he met and how long he's known him and things that they've talked about together and the time they went out for ice cream and how good the ice cream was and how nice the service was at the ice cream parlor they went to and how excellent everyone was there and how great the ice cream was and how he wishes he could go back and get some ice cream, but he can't because the railways are closed. Oh, and then he talked to this guy and he said, oh, it's because Russia Today aired the media footage. Like, bro, come on, Abuelo. You can wrap it up, Grandpa. You can figure this out. Okay, there's another clip. I'm trying to bash through these. I feel bad now. It's like I really should have like fucking edited these down.
Blanket reaching out to everybody, help me please kind of thing. And so it must have been like 11:30 in the morning. Like around 4:30, close to 5, he texts me back, hey dude, how's it going, blah blah. And we start chatting, DMing, and I said, I'm stuck here, I can't get out of Kiev, and go back to Kharkov. And he's like, what are you talking about? You can go out by train. And I'm like, no you can't. And he's like, yes you can. And I'm like, no you can't. And he's like, dude, do you speak Russian? Fair point. Low blow, but fair point. Anyway, long story short, he took the trouble to find out about the train schedules and whatnot, and he sent me the information. And the thing is, see, when the war broke out, they canceled all the flights and they canceled all the trains, but they had restarted the trains, okay? And this is very interesting, it seems to me, because the trains are operating not normally, but they're operating, and they're running to and fro all over the country. And my assistant moved ahead and got me tickets for a trip from Kiev to Kharkov that evening, And long story short, I messaged my friend who'd lent me the apartment and told him, dude, thanks so much, but I'm not going to need it because I'm going to Kharkov. And he said, dude, you're fucking insane. The Russians are going to blow up your...
I couldn't go back to Kharkiv because the trains were closed. And then my friend told me, oh, the trains aren't closed. So I told the guy that I made arrangements with, sorry, I appreciate it, but I'm going back to Kharkiv because the trains are actually working. Oh, and then he was very incredulous that I was doing that. Like that's the story, and it took him like 2 minutes to. Fuck it, Grandpa. I'm sorry, I'm showing this picture. You have made me do it. This is a picture. This is why he wears the hat. Why is he wearing the hat in this picture? Because when he doesn't wear the hat, this is what he looks like. Look at him, chat. He's old. He's old. He looks like a mad scientist, like a fucking cartoon character in Mad Scientist. Look at how old he is, chat. This is why he can't tell a story. This is the man who's trying to convey information to you, and I'm trying to clip him, and it's not working, chat. It's killing me. Okay, 2718.
The signs, those signs were, some of them were illuminated, not all of them, some of them, even though the ones that were not illuminated had a train. It was a little weird. And there was this one big advertisement in the middle of the station that was fully lit with like spotlights on the advertisement. I don't know what the advertisement was for, because it was like, it was like a pretty girl and like written material. I'm like, I don't read Cyrillic, so I have no idea what the hell it was. But
I clipped that just because it kills me. How does he not know the alphabet? Even I barely know anything, and I can still read it. And if it's a word that's like transliterated from English or whatever into Russian, I can still understand it because when I pronounce it in my head, I know what it is. That's really useful. It's really, really useful to know that. And how he's managed to avoid, I guess because he's got his wife, he doesn't have to know the language. It's fucking wild, though. But he has like no independence if that's the case. Okay, 2018-10. Oh, this is the other one that kills me.
So I'm hopping on my train and I'm off, and the whole time I don't have any internet. Okay, now I don't have any internet because for a very stupid reason. This phone that I'm using right now, I'm using it to talk to you guys. Well, it turns out that I had a chip in it from the Netherlands, but that chip doesn't work in the network here in Ukraine. And I never got bothered to get a Ukrainian chip.
He has been there for years. He has been in Ukraine for fucking years. How does he not have a Ukrainian phone number? How the fuck does he not have a Ukrainian phone number? The first thing I do when I go to a country, when I go to Serbia, when I go to Ukraine, I find the fucking, like, they sell SIM cards, prepaid SIM cards for your fucking telephone in these countries and out of a vending machine. They're not regulated. You just go to a vending machine, you put in like $20 of whatever currency, and then they give you a SIM card. How the fuck do you not get a phone number? It's crazy. I even have like a fancy like SIM card tray on my phone that has like 3 different SIM cards, so I can fit in multiple numbers. I still have my US number. It's just fucking wild. Oh, you know what it is? That's why. I have multiple SIM cards. He shows his phone. He still uses a flip phone. Abuelo still is on a fucking 2008 flip phone that probably only has 1 SIM card slot. So he can't get a multiple lines. That's fucking wild. I didn't even think about that. Okay, and then my last clip. I think I tuned out after this. I tried to listen to as much as possible because it is kind of interesting, but
my commentary had been used by this Russian TV network. And that's the reason that the manager at the hotel kicked me out of the hotel.
Oh, he finally gets to that. He finally explains.
Because, this piece, I saw it, by the way. It's 6 minutes, 43 seconds, I believe. And it's in Russian with no subtitles. And when I speak like in the background and somebody else translates. And I showed it to a couple of Russian speakers. And they said that they were like, the visceral hatred of it, number one, and that, yeah, I come across as a Putin stooge. And I'm like, oh, man, I mean, shit. Okay, and so I've put disclaimers on my channel, on my Telegram, on my Patreon, telling everybody that, I'm not paid by anybody. I've never been
full
paid
damage
by anybody.
control.
I've never been sponsored by anybody, by a company or a government or an NGO, never, okay? The only income I've ever received from my hobby is Google AdSense, and getting paid by subscribers who are just audience members who like my content and want me.
I wonder if this is what I hope it is. I'm trying to find something.
Oh, and something else happened too.
Oh, is it gonna buffer? It's the buffer farms. I need to fix the multimedia. One day I'll get an actual connection, then I can actually stream videos reliably.
Oh, and something else happened too. Yeah, that some Chechen leader. I want to meet this guy. Some Chechen leader also saw the video and thought it was aces. Okay, but if a Chechen leader thinks that you're cool, I mean, those fuckers, man, they're made of hardwood, right? I mean,
because his video caught the attention of a Chechen leader who was leading like the Russian military in the south, and I think he had an interview with this guy. I'm pretty sure. Is this who I think it is? No, it's not. But essentially what ended up happening to Coach Red Pill is the fucking military showed up at his house. While he was streaming this, I was in the chat, I was reading the chat, there were people in his chat saying that they had $10,000 of Bitcoin. If you could tell him where he lives right now, they would pay you for that information. Like there was people actively hunting him or saying they were hunting him in the chat. And then, you could just say, oh, that's trolls or whatever. But he confirmed in one of his videos that, or on Telegram, that army men, people in fatigue, showed up at his apartment complex going around asking people if they knew him or if they knew where he lived. And then after that, he fled the country. News reports came out that he died. Those are fake. He apparently fled Ukraine. He's no longer in Ukraine. He has taken his family and fled the country because people in military uniform showed up at his apartment complex trying to find him. And I don't know how he escaped. I don't know if he hid in the closet and his family lied for him and said that he was still in Kiev or what. But he might have narrowly escaped being executed because he can't keep his fucking mouth shut. So I don't know where he's going. I guess he's going to the Netherlands as a refugee. He's a Ukrainian refugee now. Really, really interesting. Really interesting stuff. He is still in his hometown. He's still in Kharkiv. He says that he left Kharkiv on Telegram. I'm pretty sure. I guess he could be lying. I'm trying to find it, the message. I mean, the rest of this video, by the way, the reason why I tuned out is because the rest of it is just him reaffirming what he's saying. He's basically just reiterating that Putin is going to win, that the resistance is futile, the Ukrainians don't have a chance in hell. Every time he refers to Zelensky, he refers to it as the Zelensky regime. He basically parrots the Russian line word for word. So you could see how people currently fighting for their country would be pretty pissed off. This man living in their country who has taken advantage of the hospitality of their country for the last however long. He mentioned that he claimed that the Ukrainian military were hiding artillery in apartment building complexes to have Russia forced to strike civilian targets and shit. I mean, basically just the Russian line, word for word. I don't know how we can say that he's not aligned with Russia. I don't know. I really don't know what he's doing. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I don't know if he's hoping that Russia will win and they'll take everything east of the Dnieper and he'll be hailed as a hero by the Russians and the Chechens. I really have no fucking idea what he's going for. He's just kind of an old man. He doesn't have any idea. He doesn't even, and it's really weird because he's 50. I don't know how old he is. His birthday is on February 29th apparently. So he's only a fourth the age that he looks apparently. But so he has really really young kids under 10, and I imagine his wife is probably really young because he probably just bought one. And he's just gonna put them in danger so that he can be an internet refugee. He's 54. Just turned 54. 54th birthday was after the declaration of special military operations. So yeah, that's the Coach Red Pill update. He's currently at his peak. He's gaining hundreds of thousands of subscribers and shit, and pro-Russian people are flocking to him, and everyone Ukrainians are watching him because they want to kill him, and he's ecstatic about the attention, basically. He said in his thread, "I partake of your women, I eat your food, and pollute your nation with my Fight Club cult." That's true. Here's some fan art. Actually, I have this picture. This was the KGB FSB agent of Gonzalo Ruble, sneaking around Kiev using his toothpicks to sabotage military operations. Every Ukrainian must be on the lookout for the grandpa of Kharkiv because he will sabotage all of your military equipment. Your tank won't start because you can't put the key in because there's toothpicks stuck up in it. You won't be able to unlock your MRE, your storage boxes because the locks will be fucked with. Everything will have toothpicks in it, and it's so bad. The grandpa of Kharkiv is so successful that they're now actually issuing gum to everyone fighting there, so that when and if they encounter a toothpick in a lock, they can take some gum and pull it out. It's now necessary as part of their rations, because otherwise everything would be completely dismantled. They have to counter it. Oh. So that's my attempt to find some humor in this, because I don't know. I'm not particularly pro either side. I do. It's complicated. I mentioned a while back that I went to Pridnestrovia, which is known in English as Transnistria, but they don't like that name because they say the Nazis came up with it. And the issue is that during the USSR moved a lot of ethnic Russians throughout the Soviet Union. That's why there were Russians in Königsberg, which is now called Kaliningrad. There's Transnistria itself, which is a breakaway state in Moldova, is mostly ethnic Russian, even though it's a part of Moldova. Everything east of Dnieper and south along the Black Sea is ethnic Russian. There's ethnic Russians in Bulgaria. There's ethnic Russians all throughout former USSR. So the main issue is that these countries, because they have an issue where their country has multiple ethnicities and multiple languages, exactly like in the U.S. And as we know from the U.S., that when you have a country that is diverse, you have issues between those communities. Not any different when it's Ukrainian Russian or Moldovan and Russian. So they have issues, and then the other side, the Moldovan side and the Ukrainian side, become nationalist. And in Ukraine, after Crimea was taken from Ukraine, there was Ukrainian nationalism, and like everything has two sides. Crimea was given to Ukraine when it was just the Ukraine was a part of the USSR. Before they became independent, and they kept it when the USSR dissolved. Well, it's almost entirely ethnic Russian and Tatar people. So Russia takes that back, and it's like no hard feelings, I guess, because it's almost all Russian. But then Ukraine becomes nationalist, and then the ethnic Russians feel like they're being oppressed because their language becomes secondary, and Ukrainian is propped up. And then Putin says that he's going to protect the ethnic Russians in Ukraine and Moldova. And I mean, the other side is that those people shouldn't be there to begin with. The USSR put them there to divide and conquer these subject nations, and that's also true. So it's difficult. It's easy to fence it on the issue unless you just look at it as democracy versus fascism, which is a fucking retarded take. It's just wrong. Like, it's just it is a propaganda line. The issue is very complicated, and it's also interesting to think that Ukraine has never been a country for most of history. Ukraine is almost like a construct. There are Ukrainian people. There is a Ukrainian language, but Ukraine did not exist as a country before 1991. It was always a part of something. It was a part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It was a part of the Russian Empire. It was a part of the USSR. Like, Ukraine is new. It's a very young country. Even if the culture and people are not. Just like Finland, though. Finland and the Finnish people and the Finnish language, that existed for a very long time before it became a country called Finland. So I don't know. It's just frustrating to see. What frustrates me is not that people disagree with me. It frustrates me to see millions of people across the world in various degrees of respectability and various degrees of prestige reducing everything to like a black and white situation that isn't even reflective of reality. It is not fascism versus democracy. It's a very complicated region, and it always has been, and it always will be. And it makes me sad to see people turn off their brains and just say Putin bad, because it's much deeper than that, chat. Yeah, it's complicated, and it's very sad. And whenever you if you watch any of the Russian YouTubers who talk about life, they're not like ultra nationalists. They're very sad that it's like Slav on Slav violence, white on white violence. People should be not happy about it, but they are, because even on the other side, like the Poltard side, they're able to reduce it as Ukraine just being a Jewish puppet and Putin being, the reincarnation of Hitler, who's bringing back the Third Reich and saving white people from global homo, even though Putin is saying that's a denazification word, then they justify it by saying, no, he's just saying that to troll the West. And it's like, it's not that simple. You're just wrong. You're just believing what you want to believe at that point. That's not what's happening. Anyways, I apologize. apologize for my opinions. I feel bad for. I have to vent at some point. I have to vent and say, like, look, I have complicated thoughts, and I can't post them. I can't post them on my website because it's full of Putin shills who fucking hate me. for look, I tried saying that Ukraine. Oh, here's a fun fact I didn't even mention. Did you know that Ukraine had nukes? Everyone seems to know this now. After the USSR dissolved, Ukraine had a ton of nukes. They couldn't really use them, but they had them, which was a deterrent. And then USA came in and said, hey, we're trying to denuclearize everyone. You want to give up your weapons? If you give up your weapons, we'll protect your sovereignty forever. And Ukraine was like, okay, well, we don't want to really have these nuclear weapons to begin with, so you'll protect us, USA, and we'll give up our nuclear weapons. And the USA was like, yep, that's exactly right. 20 years later, hey, we're being invaded. Some shit should have nukes, you fucking retard. Why would you give up your nukes, you faggots? You trusted us. Too bad, so sad. Bye-bye. I'll sanction them. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm done. Did I miss anything? I don't know. I'm sure other stuff happened. It's Woman Month, you know. It's Woman Month, but I'll share this. I have a based Woman Month post, and then I'll find some stuff for next week, and we'll have a good Woman Month stream, talking about the real women. Here we go. Here's a woman post from Sus Pink Mercy as a little teaser for some content we can find for next week. Female body language tips and RMTF. This is what they think. This is what they think would be what makes you a woman. This is what makes you a woman. You ready? So Psychologically Pure says, make your butt jiggle when you walk. Step 1 to being a woman, make sure your ass jiggles. That is essential to being a woman on the internet, or in the real world, not on the internet. Saved Water Drank Beer says, do more hand gestures by bending your elbows rather than moving your whole arms. Cross your legs by nesting your knees instead of crossing your ankle over your thigh. Keep your back straight and poke your chest out more. No Moose says, hand movements while you're talking. If you gesticulate like a limp-wristed homosexual, you're more effeminate. Move hands, then arms. Don't lean up against walls or poles or counters or other objects. Stand up straight and keep your feet much closer together than what feels natural. Walk up so that your footprints would show in the snow almost in a single line, so that your hips swing, because that's how women actually naturally walk. Sit up straight while eating. Don't lean at your table to support your weight. Cool Monster says, break symmetry while leaning on walls. Become a curved jelly. Lean to the side when leaning hand on head, or head on hand. Same with where you rest your hands. Show confidence. Looking and being confident was the thing that moved me into the passing as a woman zone. Oh, geez. Can I do this? Let's see. Reddit.com. You cool monsters. I must be over 18 to view this community. Uh-oh. That's not a message I want to see when I'm visiting a tranny profile. I want to see, what does this person look like? Just show me what this person looks like. I want to see what passing as a woman zone means. Come on, you fucker. He passes as a woman so well that he does not post a single picture of himself on Reddit. Okay, give me like 30 more seconds to try and find a picture, and then I'm moving on. Non-binary grandparent. Just found out that my grandparent, who seemed like a cis male, is actually gender casual and pronoun casual. Leave Coach alone. He's old. He doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about, and it's elderly abuse to try and convince him that he's non-binary. Okay? Look at me butt. This is a very blurry picture. I don't see any butt at all. Oh, it's a cat. It's a cat butt. Okay, this person did not post any pictures. I cannot make fun of them. I will continue reading. A big one for me is that I realized early on keeping my legs together and bending at the knees when I want to crouch, pick at something off the floor. Imagine you are being held up by a string attached to the very top of your head, back straight, shoulders back down, etc. Typically, men acknowledge each other with a nod, but it's more common for women to smile. When I first read this, it made me think about, there's this picture of a tranny goblin, and it's in a basement dungeon, and it's on a bare mattress, and it's just the scariest fucking picture, and it's grinning at the camera, and this sort of like depressive horror malaise. And it looks like a monster from Attack on Titan with the way it smiles. And when I see Daniel 4 saying, men acknowledge each other with a nod, it's more common for women to smile. I'm trying to imagine them smiling, like to acknowledge women on the street, and it looks like an Attack on Titan monster grinning with like no lips. That's my mental picture for it. Josh, can you elaborate on what you meant when you said the natives got what they deserved? I think they lost. Isn't that how that works? Female LARP tutorial. You know, women, they swing their hips because they have a lower center of gravity, Chad. Did you know that? You know what men don't have? They don't have a low center of gravity. Do you know what facial feminization surgery and shit can't fix? They can't fix your center of gravity. Which means that you'll never have a lower center of gravity if you are a man. Just food for thought. Oh, and here's what it really means to be a woman. Just a quick update. Chantel has now, in addition to shaving her head, she's now getting tattoos, and she intends to get and a piercing, and she's going to get more tattoos. I can't wait. Okay, I'm done. Did I miss anything? No, I'm not talking. Look, I'm not going to mention his name. I won't mention his name because I've gone an entire stream for the very first time in a long time without even mentioning the name. But I will put this on the screen. I will put the... Actually, God, there's two things. Okay, I'll put this on the stream first. Okay, I'm not going to mention anything. And then, after we've gotten to enjoy this for a couple seconds, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm also going to show this one. But I'm not going to say anything. We got slide A. It's like when you're at an eye doctor. Slide A, slide B. Slide A, slide B. Which one's better? Slide A, slide B. Slide A? You like slide A better? Okay. We'll go with slide A. And if you're just listening, fuck you. Watch the archives. Watch the stream archives, you fucking loser. You fucking syndicate feed MP3 listening bitch. Fuck you. You don't get to see what's on the screen. I'm not even going to explain it to you. You just have to wander. Okay, I'm done, for real. Unless there's something else. Last chance, chat. Last chance. Going once. Chat. Going twice, chat. Chris update. I'll save that for next week. I got my Ukraine shit out of my system. I'll catch up on some other stuff next week. I promise. I won't forget. Okay. See you then. Bye-bye.
Просвистела и упала на столе, чуть поела. Да скатилась по зале убитых песен. Да мне нечего терять, мир так тесен. Дай-ка, брат, тебя обнять. Надави, брат, на педаль, час до смерти. До сгоревшего не жаль, а в чистом поле ангелочки, васильки, а мы на воле. И нет ни гари, ни тоски. Встретятся Сашка да Илья, хватит хлеба. Да 100 грамм без них нельзя, что нам плакать. Здесь не срам, чего страдать, и рай не слякоть. Вьюга наша благодать. Расскажем про восход и про закат, горы сажи, да про горький мармелад, что доели, когда закончили войну, да как сели мы на родине в плену. Просвистела и упала на столе, чуть поела, да скатилась по зале убитых песен. Да мне нечего терять, мир так тесен, дай-ка, брат, тебя обнять.